You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Welcome to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynne Golodner, and I've dedicated my life to sharing stories of how people make meaning in their work and find purpose in their lives. On this podcast, we're going to talk about some of the great ideas and activities people do every day to make the world a better place and provide inspiration for others. So much of the meaning we find comes from interacting with great people, developing relationships that are mutually beneficial, and doing work that inspires everyone. I hope you'll be inspired by the people you meet here. We all need to find a way to make meaning in the mundane. Welcome back to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynne Golodner, and today I am so lucky to have with me in the studio Jacqueline Drake, a Michigan artist whom I met many years ago when our children were taking music lessons in the same studio. I remember striking up a conversation as we sat waiting, and then we friended each other on Facebook, and I feel like I know you, even though I've not seen you much since then. But that's the beauty of connections these days. We can get to know someone after a simple introduction. Jacqueline Drake has been creating mixed media art for more than 20 years. She began her career in healthcare, then transitioned to fine art as well as intuitive and meditative healing. Recently, she opened a gallery in Franklin, Michigan. Welcome to the Make Meaning podcast, Jacqueline.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. And it's so good to see you again.
You too. It's so funny. We were saying that in the lobby, but that you can meet somebody and, we're waiting for our kids to take their music lessons. And by the way, the piano intro to this podcast was written and played by Asher, my son.
Oh my goodness.
Which is
wonderful.
so cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and we were saying how our kids are not playing those instruments anymore, which is really true. But you meet someone, and then I think this is the benefit of social media, that I've been able to see you blossom and then open this gallery, which sounds amazing. So
thank you.
Let's just start by, I'd like to hear a little bit about your career journey, especially because you started in healthcare.
Yeah.
So take me on that journey.
It's been a wild journey. It really has been a journey, and that's part of the name of my gallery is The Journey Within the Art.
Oh wow!
So it's the Jacqueline Drake Gallery, A Journey Within the Art, and
cool.
It's kind of all come together now in this building. Everything that has happened, it's been this magical, evolving, nonstop thing. And it started off years ago. I worked at Beaumont for many, many years. Met my husband, and instead of going back into the working in crazy hours in a hospital, I started to go back to school. We're newly married. I was 26, and I thought, I'll go back to school. And so I went to art school down there, which was always my first passion.
Really?
And it wasn't until I had a business manager that actually asked me to write out my story, and I hadn't really realized it until I wrote down the timeline, right? The timeline of everything that had ever happened. And one of his main questions was like, you need to tell your story.
Okay.
And so when I started writing, and his name was John, and we joke about this now, but I actually wrote him a letter.
A Dear John letter?
Dear John letter, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was easier just to handwrite a letter. And he was all kind of like, why are you handwriting it? I said, because it's just how I work.
We're in our 40s and we create by hand, and that's the way it is.
Exactly. So I wrote out my story, and I realized through all of that, like from childhood on up, I had always painted or created, always.
Okay.
Even when my parents were going through a divorce, my dad has been sick. Well, he passed away about 6 months ago, but he had been sick.
Sorry.
Thank you. He was sick for many, many years of my life. Like he was a quadriplegic for 25 years from MS.
Oh, goodness.
So, over those years, but even all the times when he was ill and all of that, if I look through the whole thing, I always would paint or I would draw or sketch or something along those lines. And so when the opportunity came up for me to kind of start my life again, but with this new man now, because I get married and moved out of state. He's from Texas. So let's just say that.
That's a culture shift for sure.
So I was like, I'm going to go back to school. So long story, I ended up going back to school down there, and it was great. And, they teach you how to paint a tree perfectly and use all these cool stuff and composition and all the stuff that you need to know. But there was part of it that was still missing for me. Okay. And so my husband and I, because he was a physician, and he still is, and we looked at a different kind of alternative school where we looked at the spiritual and the emotional side of disease.
Wow.
And
I love that. That's actually really revolutionary. But it seems so basic that of course you need to look at, the mind-body connection is so huge and there's often an emotional root to physical unwellness. So
absolutely.
That's so forward thinking.
And you know what? It was interesting because we were living in Austin at the time, and Austin was very open-minded to this. And this was a good solid, 19 years ago or so is when we started dabbling more. And, it wasn't really open-minded up here as much, right?
Interesting.
It is now. It's definitely come a long way. But we found this school actually in California. And so we would fly out there every couple months and do a lot of stuff online, of course. And then, but he was thinking to use this as a tool in the emergency room, right?
Okay.
To look at, to help people more with their physical, their chronic pain, all that. Let's look at the root cause first, right?
Sure.
But it's hard to do in the ER when people are just coming in just for pain meds and they're in pain, right?
Yeah.
So at the same time, I was finishing up art school and I thought, well, heck, I'm taking people into deep meditations, looking at their root cause of illness and disease. What the heck would happen if I do it in front of a gigantic canvas?
Wow.
And my own artwork changed dramatically because I started painting from a completely different space, not the head space anymore, not the ego mind and all that. It was from a deeper place.
So how did it change? How did your work change?
So my own work. So I had a mural business at the time, which I was painting children's murals all over town. I didn't even have any kids at that point. So I was like, Shrek, who? Who do you want?
Elmo? I hear someone named Elmo, but I don't know.
It was so, they teach you how to do that. They get, they get your name out there, do whatever you can. And I was in the Austin Pastel Society, which is very, pastel portraits of people's kids or their pets and stuff like that. And so my artwork changed so dramatically that people really had noticed. They're like, wow, she's like doing these crazy large, crazy abstract, multimedia textured stuff. And it's just a whole different thing. And so from all of that, and I think putting it all together, my dream has always been not only to do these workshops, which I've been doing for years all over the place now, but was to have my own space. And meaning a space where it didn't look like a normal art gallery. It certainly wasn't going to be your normal therapy session place. And it certainly wasn't going to be anything that anybody had ever seen before because it's just so different, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to create a place where not only the visual arts help heal, but, my poetry nights have been taking off so that you have the written and the spoken word being that. And then the music night now with Jill Jack coming in and she's going to be teaching her singer-songwriter workshops there. So having all of this in one space has been, it's amazing.
It's like a community center in a way,
It is.
It's interesting because I teach writing workshops and I find that they are therapy sessions. And so, and for some people more than others, but any kind of art or discipline where you go inward and you really let your inner soul speak, is cathartic and it's healing and it's freeing too.
Totally.
It's interesting. I don't know if you saw recently in the New York Times that feature on Julia Cameron, the author of The Artist's Way.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
Yes.
Love her.
So
Yes.
I pulled the book off the shelf, which I've had for decades, and I never did it. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start. So I've just
morning
started.
pages.
Yes. So I've just started the morning pages. And one of the early days, when it was talking about like your early monsters and who were the blurts, the things that people said that keep you from really being who you are in your art. And I thought, okay, well, I write for a living in PR and I did journalism and I've done all these things to get paid for my talent.
Right.
But if I wasn't looking to get paid, which is the validation and saying you are good and you're worth something, what would I do? And all of a sudden I was stuck.
Interesting.
I don't know what that is. Is it poetry? I mean, I have a degree in poetry, but
oh my gosh!
But
you're gonna love poetry nights.
I'm coming.
You're gonna love those.
But it's interesting because I think that children we know who we are as children, and then as teenagers we start to censor ourselves and because everybody's judging and everybody's watching and you want to fit.
Right.
And then I don't think we ever unlearn that unless we deliberately attempt to unlearn it and get back to that initial voice, right?
And that's essentially what I teach in my classes.
Really?
Is that, I get tons of people that are like, well, I don't paint. No, I don't want this. I don't paint. I don't do meditation. And oh Lord, I get so many of those.
Right.
But I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about that. All I'm going to do is get you into a zone which in so many different cultures, there's different words for that.
Yeah.
In Buddhism, and actually in Zen Buddhism, they call it the wu-wei, which is meaning it's like you're in that space where the art just comes through you. And it's just, you're in this zone.
Yeah.
And so there's so many words for it. But ideally, what I try to do is to teach people, one, to do a guided meditation.
Okay.
And get them out of their kind of headspace at that point.
Sure.
And then things do come up in meditation, and it's completely normal.
Yeah.
And so I have them jot down these things sometimes, and then we'll compose the piece from that, because it's usually in those moments when they get that clear, almost like a clairvoyance, like just they get the clarity of what their real purpose is and their meaning. And then we compose pieces from that. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing when it happens, because it's surprising to most people that this was even in them.
Right.
And then how proud they are after they get it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with cancer patients, you name it. I've worked with all sorts of, obviously psychological stuff and every gamut, right? And even people that aren't sick. We were just having a conversation in the lobby of how many corporate levels I'm going into now.
Really?
Yeah, it's been really wild working with people with, doing leadership stuff and doing group. I went into there was one about Ford Motor Company, and there even a law firm that was a women's divorce law firm.
Wow.
And I got to work with most of their female clients, and we kind of worked with, what's your life going to look like after?
Oh, I love it. And then they were painting it, or what were they? Oh my goodness.
And they all did their paintings. So like more of like a women empowerment type of thing, but like, let's really kind of look what your life can be like now.
Yes.
It's okay.
Interesting.
And got them to express it out. And so it's all sorts of things. I'm doing so many custom workshops right now for all sorts of different groups that come in. I just had 25 women from one of the synagogues actually came in for their sisterhood.
Oh, I love it.
And I took them, it was really neat for them. They painted on one canvas.
Really? All of them together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was a very large canvas. It was 48 by 48. And, they painted out what sisterhood looks like to them and their faith.
I love that.
And then they took it back to their temple. So they were going to hang it wherever they have their meetings, I guess.
Cool.
But
so cool.
So all sorts of things are happening there. It's been really organic.
That is so neat.
I wouldn't want it any other way, actually.
Very cool. So was this gallery a long time in the planning? Like, is this something that you were sort of dreaming about for years and then you finally said it needs to happen, or how did that come to be?
It's actually been a really magical, there's no other word for it. So let me kind of back up a little bit. There was, my husband was really involved with, some political parties, and, we had a kind of meet the candidate thing at my house.
Okay.
And, for some reason, I invited most of my female friends, and they were very business owners or whatever, or lawyers or doctors, but all really powerful women in their own right. But they also were very much in this political side of change, I guess. And so I don't want to say too much, but anyways. And so I kind of decided that night. It was really weird. So here I have all these women at my house, and they're all doing that and opening their own practices and, just completely unafraid just to step into their real full being.
Yeah.
And I admired that so much. Like, I hadn't been around that in a while, and yet alone a powerful group of women like that.
Right.
And I just remember saying to my husband that night, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know, but I'm going to make this happen. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to happen. And he, of course, is just like, okay, honey, whatever you say.
Sure thing.
And then, so that was early December. And then
of when?
Of last year.
Okay.
Because I've only, so
2017?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just January, always on New Year's Eve, we have this amazing big kind of kid family party.
Yeah.
Lots of families and lots of kids. I mean, it's completely fun. But we always do a burning bowl ceremony on New Year's Eve.
Cool.
Where we make everybody throughout the night, whenever you just write down things that you want to be done with, rid of, emotions, issues, whatever you just want to be done with. Just throughout the night, people just go over into the fireplace and throw out their thing, right, and burn it up.
Okay.
And we ask them to take a few moments and take a deep breath, and there's a whole little thing I made for it.
Awesome.
It's quite the experience coming to my house.
I want to come.
Everybody has to meditate.
I'm inviting myself over.
I would love you to. So that night, I burned up everything. So this is now on New Year's Eve last year, not this past, but the
to 2018.
Yeah.
Got it.
January 5th, I'm now getting phone calls. Now, I've put out into the universe. I'm a firm believer in manifesting and putting things out there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen. And my Lord, that made everybody crazy because, like, what do you mean you don't have a business plan? You don't have this and that? No, I don't. I don't know how this is going to work.
Right.
January 5th, I was getting a phone calls from different business owners in Franklin that word had gone out that I was looking for a building.
I love it.
So this was January 5th. I ended up buying this building in March.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Nice.
did like a 6-7 week remodel on it. And
Okay.
it's a really old building, so it needed a little bit of love, not too much. It was a jewelry store for the last 29 years. So
Yeah.
it was in pretty good condition, but I put, flooring in and all that kind of lighting, all that, and made it very Zen type space. And still, even during the building of this, people would come in like, what is this going to be? Because we had already lost the farmhouse by then, the Witch Ice Cream Shop and the market. So everybody wanted this to be a vodka bar. I heard there was, you name it. Everybody came in. This needs to be a distillery. No.
It's a community spot of another sort,
Exactly. And I was like, just wait. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be cool. So I ended up opening in May. May 12th was my official public opening.
Okay.
And it's just kind of taken off from there. But it has been all different areas of my life that I brought this all together. It's almost like it's just one gigantic collage, and now it's a solid foundation.
That's cool.
And
that's so cool. The Jacqueline Drake Gallery.
And everybody's like, why are you going to name it your name? I said, well,
why not?
Because it's my dream.
Yes, it's your dream come true.
And the journey within the art kind of is what I try to get people to do.
Okay.
And obviously it's kind of gone more into all the arts now, which I could not be more excited about that's taking off.
Yeah.
The poetry nights are just, if you would have told me a year ago I'd be having poetry nights, I don't write very well, I don't think. And so for me to have poetry night is just wild, but it is the most amazing thing when people stand up and read from their hearts and their souls of something so cherishing to them, and they're willing to share it with people. And it's magical in every sense.
So, you had this dream come true, but it was all these years in the making. And so on this podcast, we talk about how do you make meaning in your work or find purpose in your life. Yeah. And I wonder if you have advice for people listening, because it takes a lot of courage to make your dream a reality, or to live in your art, whatever that art is. Yeah. So do you have advice for people who want to dare to be that brave?
Yeah. And dare to be brave. That's I like that. I like
true,
that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think part of, for me, there's a whole bunch of things, that I could say that I've kind of my own mantras that I've kind of gone on. But the one thing is that when you manifest anything, right, it's almost like you don't put limits on it.
Right.
Because the minute you say, oh, I want that right now, right here, right now, I need this. And that immediately puts a limit on it. Right?
Sure.
So it's almost like you're blocking your own manifestation in some sense.
Right.
So for me, I didn't have that at all. I didn't have an idea of how this was going to go, or, which way it was going to even become. Yeah. But it just happens. And I am grateful every day. Every single day. And I think we had talked about that, about meaning and, in the moments. For me, it's the small moments. I was just telling her, when I pull up and I hear the bells chiming, in the little church in Franklin, and I'm like, is this really my life? I have this cute little building that is just, it's perfect. It's so perfect. I would have never have manifested that myself. This is a divine level of something that I don't know much about.
Well, and I laughed earlier when you said, you don't have a business plan. I've been in business for myself for more than 20 years, and I've never had a business plan. And I'm somehow surviving and thriving and, doing well. And I mean, I don't just sort of cast, a stone in the river and hope that it just lands. I mean, I actually do have some strategy. Sure. But I didn't sit there and map it out. And I always say that, entrepreneurs dream big, and the reason that they succeed is because they believe it can happen, that they can succeed. Yeah. Because if you start to methodically plan everything out, you'll talk yourself out of it.
Yes. You know? Actually, I talk to my sister a lot about that because she struggles with her singer-songwriting work, and she's got, some self-esteem issues. And so working on that, it's just don't limit yourself, just know that you're going to get another gig and you're going to keep singing, and just don't. And she self-analyzes and self-doubts, and
we all do that.
I know, don't we? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it's, that never leaves, that little judgment, on our shoulder. But I, my dad told me once that if you just do the work in front of you, there will be more work. And, instead of worrying about that distant future that you can't see or really control, you do what's right in front of you, and there will be more.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I love that.
So,
I love that.
Well, this is so cool. Now, we can't on a podcast share your beautiful artwork, but what we will do is we'll share the link to your website, and maybe you can tell people listening how they can find you.
Absolutely. I have a website, and that is www.jacquelinedrakegallery.com.
Okay.
And on that, I have, you can sign up for my newsletters, which every month I send out a newsletter, which has all the monthly things, the poetry nights, there's so many things now. Mindy Eisenberg has been coming in just teaching a mindfulness class.
I saw that. I love that.
Do you know her?
I do know her. She's great.
Wonderful. She's so great. And she's going to be starting a 3-part series in the next few weeks also. That's a class on just mindful listening.
Okay.
And then a class on mindful journaling.
Nice.
Which kind of goes along with the Julia Cameron thing too.
Yeah.
And then a class on mindfulness for stress and anxiety.
Oh, very nice.
So she'll do a 3-part series for that. I think she's calling it the Mindful Living series.
Okay,
so
cool.
That is coming soon too. There's so many things. And then of course I'm there. I do my own classes too.
Okay.
So there is that. There's all my classes are online as well. And everything you can schedule online. The poetry night, register online. That's all I can say is just because I need the list of when I call people up. So
very cool. Well, I'm going to have to come and share my poetry and listen to other people.
I would love that. Yeah, it's a very magical, intimate space is the only word I can think of. It's the cutest little town ever. So
it is cute. It's just beautiful. And I love seeing you again. I'm really glad you were available.
I am blown away that this is amazing. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Jacqueline Drake, for being on the Make Meaning podcast. And I can't think of a better way to make meaning than through art and conversation and connection, building community. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I'm Lynne Golodner, and I look forward to sharing more inspiration on future episodes of the Make Meaning podcast. Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm Lynne Golodner, and I've really enjoyed being here with you today. You can find the Make Meaning podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and I'd love it if you'd share our great conversations with all your people so we can add meaning wherever we go and whatever we do.